everybody. Welcome to Cardistry, Lore and More. I'm Kevin Ho. I'm joined here today with my co-host Brendan Connor, and today we have a very special guest with us, our good friend Andrew Avila. Hey, Andrew, what's up?
Not much, dude. Just happy to be here with like two of my oldest homies in the game.
Yeah, the
Yes,
portable playboys, as we call it.
that's us.
Yeah, that video
PPBs.
that video is pretty old by now, huh?
Yeah, it's going on 9 years at this point. It was, I think, October 2015. That's when I put it out because the trip was in September. That
Yeah.
was around my birthday.
So
That's
we
in
should
9 years. Oh my goodness. So that
10 year,
means, yeah. Are
10
you
year
thinking what I'm
reunion,
thinking, Drew?
9 year reunion even.
Yeah, next year, the 10th year anniversary.
We'll just show up on Spencer's doorstep and force him to do cardistry.
Oh my God, Spencer. Speaking of Spencer, the last time I saw both of you together was in Berlin, and that's when you guys came up with the loom spring, where Spencer was like smacking a card out of Andrew's spring, and then Brendan would
Yeah,
like catch it in midair.
because there was
Wow.
some kind of like contest or whatever where the organizers were like, "Hey, like you guys need to come up with some kind of a team move," and I think we all really like took that to heart and like went with
Yeah.
the we went with the spirit of XCM
Yeah.
and yeah, I don't recall if this was like before or after the Portland trip that that we all had.
Yeah, was that before or after? Because that,
Um,
how did we come up with that idea? I think that was like from the mind of Spencer, for sure.
yeah,
The demented mind of Spencer Clark's cardistry.
yeah, and I think we were all just like meaning about Loom on
Yes.
on that visit, and then at the con, it kind of like all just came together.
I
And I
love
think
too that the
originally I wanted like Brendan, I wanted you to like catch the card and then like throw it back into the spring.
y- yeah, that's the dream. I've had fantasies of like, so in the video I catch the card, but I have a fantasy of me brushing it loom style, brushing the card back into the spring.
Yeah, you're like, fuck.
Yeah, but yeah, if I just smack it back in, like, oh, I love too that challenge was to meant to go like get new cardists, like, oh yeah, collaborate with new cardists, like make new friends, and like we'll announce the winner at the end of the con. Three of them like oldest, crustiest dudes at the con were like,
Three of the
all right, let's
we
cook.
we got this.
brought
Did
out
it
the Handl
immediately.
Lords.
Ended the contest immediately. No one even tried to come up with a move after they saw what we did.
Like
What I love about that footage, what I love about the footage is that Chase is shooting it, and then Noel's reacting to you guys, and you guys do
yeah,
like a first rough draft of the move, and like Spencer hits the card, and Brendan kind of like catches it like a little bit off kilter, and Noel's like, "What the?" And then you
Yeah,
guys do it again, and like the way it's shot to like the card is caught by
yeah,
Brendan, and then it pans immediately to Noel's face, and he goes,
it's so
"Ah!"
perfect.
Yeah, amazing timing.
I've watched that so many times, just trying to relive that high.
man. Oh, Berlin was so fun. What a good convention.
Yeah.
Um, and then last
Uh,
time I saw you, Drew, was in Portland, your hometown.
Dude, I know,
Portland
yeah.
Con.
So those pictures again back when you had hair and
Yes. Yes. Yeah, that was, man, good times. Pre-COVID cardistry. What a time to be
yeah,
alive.
yeah. I'm glad we got to see each other then, but
Definitely.
it's weird how the time passes because it's really weird to think that there was less time between the first portable playground and the second one than there is between like the second one and like current time.
Really? Because the first one was 2007, I think. So that was 8 years. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Jeez.
We old.
We
Portable
old out here.
Playground 3.
Outer space.
Yeah, we're going to space. Underwater. We're going underwater and into
Water.
space.
Just underwater elementals for the whole video.
Exclusively.
Yeah. Wait, isn't that the eighth step? I was like visiting the secret books recently,
Yeah,
and I saw that DeVoe referenced it might have been Marius Jr. who was referencing that the eighth step was water elementals of the trials.
yeah. So like the later stages are never really like publicized, only alluded to. And I think you're spot on because they talk about that in one of the books. And I think it was hypothesized, theorized, that the later stages involved like routines with like water and fire
Hmm.
elemental stuff. And so yeah, I think
Water elementals is something I feel like was never really explored, but there is a lot of potential there. I can imagine
Yeah,
a cobra cut underwater, and then the packet just suspends in free flow, free whatever, and then you
maybe
very slowly catch it.
maybe that's how my running Cobra Cut idea can come to fruition. Because I don't know if I told you this, Andrew, but the idea is to do a Cobra and
yeah,
then
yeah.
like toss the packet, and then you set up another Cobra and then catch this one here,
We
and
just
this
need
one sets up
the
on
delay,
top.
the time delay.
Yeah, so you just need like a little bit of lag with the water to be able to do like the running Cobras. Devo's
There's
Secret
actually,
Books came out 15 years ago now.
oh my God, that's half a lifetime
But
ago.
isn't it by like Marius or DeVoe's like historical
No,
records that came out like 5,000 years ago or something?
the foreword is by Marius.
Yeah,
Okay.
Marius
In
Jr.
German.
Yeah,
It's in German, and
it's
then
in German.
there's a separate translation into English for whatever
As I
reason.
gaze into the icy waters of the Omen Mar.
Omen Mar. So you read the books, both of you.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, that is the cloth from which I was cut.
Oh, can you send them to me for some nighttime reading?
I have to
I
ask
mean, it's
DeVoe
fine if you
first.
don't. Yeah, you
The
gotta. I mean,
physical copies or like the pirated version? What are you talking about here? We need to ask permission.
we'll talk off stream. Yeah, sorry, I crossed the line
Oh
there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I remember when during Portable Playground 2, when we were all staying at my house, and you offered to perform the piano routine.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember even in the secrecy of my basement in Vancouver, BC, where DeVoe is nowhere near at all. I remember you setting up, and I'm pretty sure I remember you like looking like like checking around, like
Checking over my shoulder.
yeah, is any non-XCM are gonna see this? All right, so yeah, sacred.
Dude, it's like in the Batman movie where he's like, they fear the shadows, but I am the shadows. Like
Yeah.
the vote is the shadows. Is like, is he watching? Am I doing it justice?
What I'm curious about is if the piano routine you had notes, what it actually sounds like, you know? Or is it just like if you actually map it out on a keyboard, is it just like do 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 do?
I mean, there's really little guidance in the book. It's just kind of like, oh, like find your own kind of track, or like basically make your own like musical arrangement to go with it.
Mm.
So, Brendan, maybe you're the one who could bring it to life.
The piano routine is a lo-fi hip hop beat.
Yeah, DeVoe's
Ooh.
Chinese son.
The most Chinese son.
Um, the book says a book in three parts, but the third one was never released, I don't think. Or was it?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't, and I'm like upset about it to this day. That DeVoe was like, oh yeah, like it's a three-part series, and everyone that bought them, I think, was operating on the assumption that we're making a collection, and yeah, there was no third book. That was around the time when the forums like shut down as
Oh,
well, and so and like I later was like banned from like his Facebook page or whatever. So maybe there was a release that I didn't know of, and like everyone signed like NDAs, and so I'm just in the dark about the third
It
book.
might have been released to the few people who had previously bought Shattenreich and Dreams and Nightmares. So just like
Yeah,
that group of 5 people or something.
just the homies.
Just the
Just the bud, Devote's best buds.
Yeah, why
those
why
best
even why
buds.
even talk about like a public release if it's really just to the gang?
Damn. So there was never release, and then the forum shut down. That's like the burning of like Babylon of information, and
Yeah,
it just went to the
yeah,
grave. I mean, he's still alive, but
yeah, and that's around the time when I like quit, took my first break from cards because I was like, oh well, there's nothing for me here anymore.
yeah, I have nothing to live for anymore. So
Yeah, and yeah, it again, it's weird just to think about the timeline of things because Kevin, you said the technique was only up for like 3 years.
Something like that. Yeah,
mm,
I have the timeline around somewhere, but I've forgotten it by now. It's one a
Yeah,
previous episode, so our
yeah,
listeners can go back and rewatch that.
yeah, but like it felt so much longer, and I guess ditto for the Handlord forms. I think like they both shut down or like stuff changed around the same time, and
yeah,
there wasn't ever a proper place to migrate to for the community.
Yeah,
And like,
definitely.
well,
Yeah, we are left
like
wandering.
yeah, I was like, Cardistry is truly dead.
Yeah, people
um,
talking about Cardistry dying. They
Yeah,
didn't
there's
have every hub of community scrubbed from the
yeah.
internet.
Imagine
yeah,
like
this was before Instagram.
This is
yeah,
before
imagine
Instagram.
imagine what it would do to today's community if like Instagram had shut down. I think
Oh,
Oh,
that was kind of the feeling because yeah, there were other forms that we like kind of migrated to, but it wasn't the same. Just as like there's other social media platforms out there, but like if
yep.
Instagram shut down today, like you would feel pretty like defeated and debilitated in terms of like, oh, like do I keep going with this, you know?
It was rough. I can't remember if there was like a grieving period. Like, did I grieve for technique? I probably did. Um, Although there was the excitement of the migration of like Theory 11 and Unad Cardis and all that, but it just never lived up to how it
Yeah,
was. Not even close. So
Andrew, I did some Nard warring as usual,
yeah.
and I found your very first post on Handlords Lords as
Oh my
Darian.
God.
This was on
Was
November
that in,
9th, 2007, so 17
oh
years
my God.
ago.
Whoa.
And the
Was
post
that
says,
in like the introductions thread?
yeah, it was.
mm.
It says, "Hey everybody, my name is Darian. I'm 14 years old. I'm new to the
Oh,
forums, even though I've been lurking around them and reading a lot of interesting topics. I've been XMing for about a couple months, although in the short time I've learned a lot, I think, even though I don't have any DVDs. Not to worry, I'm getting CTG, XB, and the Cobra Cut collection soon. Some background on me, I used to be a magician, not anymore, ha ha ha. XCMing is so much cooler. I have to thank D for getting me into XCM. You kick ass, Devo." That's the post.
shouts out D.
Yep. Yep. To this day, like, 17 years later, still don't have Cobra Collection, CTG, or so that was a hollow promise.
Wait, but and this is also from my research, like there was a thing where you had to do a food cobra as part of a challenge.
Yeah, so I guess I do have Extreme Beginners 2. I have
Yeah,
two
you won
copies of it, actually.
XP2 from that challenge because like you had to guess something, I remember.
Well, so so I ended up getting into a bit of a bet with Devo because so big thing on this DVD was like the guest lineup, and he was like really like hyping it up, and of course very like secretive about it. And at that time, I had found this like server link to like Handlords videos that wasn't like really public per se. And I had found some videos on there that I thought featured the guests, the upcoming guests from Extreme Beginners 2. And so in the thread I posted, I was like, oh, like I think I know who the guests are. It's pretty exciting. And D was like, you don't have a clue, kid. And I was, and so he was like, okay, how's this? Like, say who you think it is, and then once it's publicly released, if you're right, you'll get the DVD for free. If you're wrong, you need to make a video of like me doing a food cobra cut. So I ended up being wrong. So I posted a video of me doing like a cobra cut with a burger. And he sent me the videos, or the DVDs anyway. Yeah. A
Aww.
charitable good sport. He actually sent me 2 copies. First one was non-autographed, and I was like, hey, I thought you said it would be autographed. And then
What the hell, Devo?
he sent me a second autographed copy. So,
So
Wow.
what you're telling me is that Devo has your address.
oh God, I guess so. Yeah.
Devo was like, send me your social insurance number and I will send you a copy of Game Beginners 2. Who did you guess? Because the guests were, was it Max Vlasenko and Fat Fingered? Am I?
No, that was
No,
World XCM tournament
Oh, that's
it
World
was
uh,
XCM tournament.
Daniel
champions.
Madison.
Daniel Madison.
Daniel
Daniel
Madison,
Madison
right.
was one of them. And then
Most,
Wasn't Angela
Chappie.
Funovitz? Chappie, yeah.
Yeah.
What
oh yeah,
about Angela
Fun of
Funovitz?
It's with the productions, right?
Yeah.
I don't recall what she taught. And I think Cam as well with pen spinning.
Gam,
Yeah.
yeah. Gam's a
Right.
boss.
Yeah. So
Right.
actually really sick guest lineup that
Yeah.
yeah.
Who
I
did
guess
you
we'll
think the
never
guests were? Do you remember?
I don't recall the names, but it was some kind of like coin manipulation
Mm,
angle.
coin
Yeah.
manipulation. That guy with the tattoos, maybe. I forget his name.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
I think I know who you're talking about, but I
He,
forget what
he
his
was in
name
the
was.
Technique trailer, the Technique like
Yeah.
announcement trailer.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I just don't remember his name.
I always thought coin manipulation was very lame. I'll say it here.
yeah. I just don't like the way that they feel. They're too small. There's not enough
It was
grip.
just, and also small, right? Like you do a roll
Yeah.
down, and then it's like this big. Yeah.
Just do a little display.
Or like they'll do a display where like each coin's on the fingers, and it's just like, hmm.
Yeah. Well,
It's
that's
noisy.
it.
It's very noisy.
It's very noisy. Very noisy.
I feel like chip manipulation is like slightly cooler.
What did you say?
Shit
Like like
manipulation?
like poker chip.
Oh,
Oh, Chip.
chips. You heard that too, Kevin, right? I was
I
like,
did. I did.
That's how uncool coin manipulation is, you know?
yeah, yeah, I'd rather manipulate my own shit.
Chips. I like the chip shuffle, where it's like
Yeah.
the pharaoh, them on the table.
There were some cool ones. There were some like aerials, and like it would spin back and bounce. 21
Oh,
Ace forums bringing it back.
21 Ace. A great chip video is the one that Charlie Fry did a while ago. I don't know if any of you've seen that, but Charlie Fry has an awesome video of him doing some chip manip.
Chip manip,
Chip
You
manip.
gotta
chip
post it in the
manip in
chat.
the.
In seriousness though, we need like some kind of way to like post the videos that we talk about in here. That way people can reference them and like we can reference them as well.
Yeah,
I know. I haven't done that since episode 2 with Turbo Pascal and the toe catches.
Well,
that was crazy.
okay, that's the one that you actually really need to see, like, to believe.
Yeah.
That almost felt too exposing of like our community. Like it's like too deep of a look into to what we do.
Cannot unsee.
You cannot unsee. Yeah.
Uh, so Andrew, you are left-handed in real life. I mean, not to
Yep.
say that any of this isn't real life, but you do cardistry as a righty.
Yeah. So I hold it in my left hand, which made sense to me because for any one hand stuff, like my left hand is dominant, so I was like, oh, like it makes sense to have it already in the left hand, you know.
Hmm.
Right.
Um, and I guess when I started in Magic, like the instructionals would be from this dealer's position in the left hand.
Yeah.
So it just made sense to me to do it that way. Yeah.
Did that ever come into your advantage, like being a lefty in real life and it influencing like how you would create or how you would learn something?
Uh, it's really hard to say, but I guess it made like difficult one hand moves easier because I was already more dominant with my left hand.
Hmm.
And so instead of needing to like switch it or whatever, um, I guess one annoying thing, a weird quirk, is that I learned to spring with my left hand.
Hmm.
So I have to like switch it and then spring. I don't just like spring with my right hand. So
That's brutal.
Wait, so you don't spring with your right hand at all, or do you do it both ways?
no, I don't spring with my right hand. I have to do it with my left. So that is one
Oh, so
thing that I,
even when you do spring triangle, you do it from the left side.
yeah,
Oh shit.
yeah. It's like springing with my left hand, making the triangle with my right.
Crazy. Crazy. Can you spring? So you can't spring with your right hand at all?
I could get used to it. I can dribble really well with it.
Because I think
Same,
that's
same with
some untapped
Anton.
XCM there. Double. If you had the capability to spring equally well in both
Spring
hands,
back and forth would be sick.
do
Yeah.
or two springs. At, I don't know.
You just like spring them and then like they meet in the middle. And then
Yeah, and you spring them so hard that like there's the force keeps them there, so there's a floating packet in the middle.
It's like an isolation.
It's a nice.
That's good.
a real accordion, just you
Yeah.
know.
It'll look like Harry
Oh,
Potter and Voldemort in the last film where they're
yeah.
just like shooting their wand power at each other. Um, I remember reading some stuff on the forums where I think Devo said that it's better to call anything that you come up with a personal discovery rather than your own
Yeah,
creation,
yeah,
as like
yeah.
a sign of respect for
Yep.
people who might have come before you that created something.
I.e. Devo.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess it really just left a door open for someone else to like claim that they did your idea first, like whether there was evidence or not. Um, and I know like sculptures were like a really big thing back in that time, at least in terms of like underground talk. Like sculptures were like a big conversation piece because DeVoe was like, oh yeah, I got flip back VREC, have like multiple houses in one hand.
I have houses with subtents.
It's actually easier for them to stand that way. And so yeah, so anytime like a four member would be messing around with these things, um, it'll be easy for him to be like, oh, I published this back in the 80s, like legit. That was a legit response that we had seen multiple times. Um, yeah, so we had this whole post about like not naming your move, just calling it a personal discovery.
Fun little thing I did.
Did
You
that
claim?
influence your? Oh, Brendan, you go ahead.
No, go ahead, Kev.
Andrew, did that influence your titling of the motions video to Motions Discoveries?
Yep.
Yeah. Which I don't know if it's like okay to tell people that was you. Like,
Yeah,
is that just public knowledge at this point? Like,
yeah. I think it might as well be. Yeah, but
okay.
yeah, so that was like a little bit of a kind of like a tongue in cheek and also like part homage to
Mhm.
like
That era.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's motions
Well,
discoveries.
well, you might be one of the truest, like pure students of XCM that's still doing it big. Because I remember when you were deep in motions around Portland Con and you were talking about it, you're like, man, this is
Oh, dude,
Motions is
I was super
motions
excited
is
about
it.
it.
You were only doing motions stuff, and
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah,
I got this motion concept and this motion concept. Motions is coming back. I was like, yes, let's go.
yeah. It was like maybe like at least like 6 months of me working with it, and like I felt like it was just like a gold mine, and I saw so much potential, and also like some crossover in what people were already doing, especially like Kyle with like sliding packet kind of things.
Yeah, and Carter has been doing some stuff with that too, with the
Yeah,
Yeah,
motions take uh, concept.
yeah. So I was pretty excited.
Um, yeah, it's not often that you see a video go ham with just a single concept. Like Furious Angels is one that comes to mind when I think about
Yeah,
like
yeah,
single
and that
concept
was
videos.
when we get into top threes. That's like one of my top three videos, and I feel like motions discoveries like was essentially like remaking Furious Angels in terms of being like one concept. It was like broken up into parts, and so that was the huge stylistic inspiration. And
definitely. And to Devo's credit, because I remember there was like a teaser for motions and like the basic concept, I think, or like there was a video where the basic concept was shown of like the V sliding around, and
Was that
just like
the Pro XCM Passion trailer where he did
it
like
might
the
have been that, but there
yeah,
was like the motion was on film somewhere, but that little tidbit was enough to spark my imagination and like huge. I was like, oh my god, like what is Devo hiding with that concept? So Devo, like he walked the walk for the most part too, and a lot of the hidden concept stuff too. Like when he dropped the death roll video, was like
oh yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
okay, he's him,
he's the
honestly.
Hand Lord.
Fan Lord,
Motions also has the funniest teaser of all time. Our
yeah.
heroes.
slow pan to a field of crucifixes,
Crosses. Yeah. For
falling
me,
leaves.
this question is easy.
I
I
will.
will.
Incredible.
Another video that I think goes ham on a single concept is Ryoma's Sliders video on
Yeah,
Vimeo. That's like
yeah,
kind of lost in Vimeo land because no one goes there. But if you go to Vimeo, check out Ryoma's page, you'll see a lot of Triforce stuff and as well as the Sliders video. And people shat on Sliders when it came out, I think, at least from seeing it on the 311 forums.
oh,
Like no
really?
one,
It
yeah,
wasn't
no.
just like Handlords guys that were talking
Oh,
bad about it?
were handlers guys talking shit about it too?
Yeah, because I think they were like standing DeVoe, being like,
Oh,
why are you claiming that you've got this concept? DeVoe's been doing like shapeshifters and 3D shapeshifters for eons.
Yeah. Also, it was associated with Dimitri as well, so there might have been a little salt there.
oh yeah.
So
Well, the Handlords guys didn't like, Dimitri either,
No.
the whole Chappie lore and all.
Yep.
yeah, we don't
Which,
need to sensitive topic.
as we discovered, was actually Dan and Dave's move, Moulin Rouge.
Oh my God.
Um, so Drew, you said you quit once Super Hands went down. How long were you out of the game for?
It was from about 2011 to 2013-ish, 2014.
That's when you came
Mm,
back for WKC.
Yeah, so when I quit, it was also like my senior year of high school, and so I had a lot of other like real life things happening, and like was starting to make real life friends for like the first time, and so that like was like, oh, there's more than just this URL, this forum, and I'm like
totally.
spending all my time on. Um, and so that like pulled my attention, and that was again around I think the time when things were like starting to shut down. Um, yeah, so I was just like, well, it seems like it's kind of dying out, and I'm maybe like losing interest, so I just took a long hiatus.
Gathering your strength for the most generational run of all time in 2014.
Yeah, like I've mentioned this many times before, but that like brought me back from my slump. Like when I saw Double Prism in round four, I think.
Yeah,
Like the below shot, that was crazy.
I honestly think that little time period there, and by that period I mean your videos, are have aged the best of almost any cardistry content. Even modern cardistry content that use like really intense trap beats and stuff, because you were out there using Dream Pop, Shoegaze,
Yeah.
Toro y Moi, like
Flume,
the
Flume.
yeah,
Flume, and like it's all, I don't know. I think that style of music intermingles well with cardistry and the stuff you were doing, and it
yeah.
makes it like
No,
this
that
dreamy kind of haze, like fever dream style thing. It's aged really,
yeah,
really well.
that was a real like stylistically special time for cards, I think. Um, because I think around that time, like people were getting like really serious about like high quality production in their
Yeah.
videos, like more so than we see now. Like I know there's still like the cozy like bedroom videos with like Jack and Kevin Malone. Um, but there are also guys like Henrik that were just doing like
Yes.
Super
super,
cinematic.
yeah, really, really high quality. Um, and again with like the music choice, like just very, very tasteful, easy to
It was
digest.
very,
And
very tasteful. Yeah, because like yeah, Henrik Ryuji was making great videos.
yeah,
Ambrose,
Hmm.
yeah,
um, and then obviously the Danish guys started kicking in. But
Yeah.
that's kind of the shift there because that got really like fast paced and like the editing style too was got
yeah,
really
that's true.
choppy. Um, yeah, good,
And also
excellent era.
D4I.
Oh,
D4I, yeah.
D4I, of
Like
course.
he was one of the when I came back, like that was one of the first people that I saw, and I was like, what the heck? Like, what did I miss? Like, this is this guy's crazy, and like the videos just looked so good, and they were edited so cleanly, and yeah, it was big time like video goals, just to like make a video like D4I did.
And
Definitely.
then a good like 3 years later, you were judging D4I in the first CCC.
Damn.
And you said no,
It's true.
you shall not pass.
Yeah, no marble sodas here.
Oh man, I wonder if he even knows that there's going to be a convention in Japan, because it would be like sick to meet him.
Yeah, that would
Is he?
be.
Oh,
I
so he's
know
Japanese.
he's Japanese. I know that Jaspis
Oh.
met him when
Yeah,
Jaspis went to Japan at one point.
yeah. I need to look into that.
Yeah, dig up D4I. Um, it's funny because I was looking at the comment section for Moving Castles, your WKC final,
Yeah.
and there's like all this praise and people like glazing the video, and then one person is like fake.
Tape.
Sideburns era too. You had the
Oh yeah,
sideburns.
yeah, yeah. Big time. Big sideburns, big hair, big
It was
moves.
so perfect because it was like Portland hipster uh, aesthetic was like so big for millennials at the time. You're from
Yeah,
Portland. You were a hipster with the mutton chops, doing
yeah,
cardistry to dream pop. Like, ugh, it's perfect.
Yeah,
It's such a perfect vibe.
when I was with Andrew in Portland before we went to Washington to see Spencer and then Vancouver to see you, Brendan.
Yeah.
I was walking with Andrew on the street and like this girl like complimented Andrew on his hair. She was like, "I love your hair."
Oh.
you got a good memory. I must not have recalled that. Yeah, what a
So
time.
during that time, so you quit and then dropped like 8 million of the best moves of all time a few years shortly after. Were you creating those during that time, or were you saving up, or did you have them, or did you have the context, or did you
Um,
invent them during the contest?
well, I invented some things along the contest run, and here's the thing. It lasted for maybe like 6 to 8 months. It was like
Oh, okay.
Um, it was quite a long competition, and so there was like a lot of time in between rounds to make new material, and then like lots of anxiety, sure, as well. Um, but most of the moves I had made like after I came back, and I don't know what it really was that like gave me all this inspiration in such a small amount of time.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think it's just sometimes like it's just like a mindset that you're either in or you're not in, and sometimes you can create like really effortlessly. You know, you can latch on to the smallest idea and make something out of it. And I think that's where I was during that time period. Because yeah, for I'd say 80% of the moves in there, if not more, like that was all stuff that I had made like maybe like the 6 months before WKC. And then some of the other stuff
Crazy.
that I was working on throughout the competition.
Yeah,
When did you know that you could do Prism 5? Like,
Uh, before the competition started.
really?
yeah. When did you say, okay, another one? And then when did
DJ Khaled.
yeah, when did you say,
Yeah,
okay, this is literally as far as I can
I'm going out of the frame at this point. You know, I
go?
gotta pull the camera back. Um, well, so I was really big on Tiny Chat when I came back into the scene. Um, and like I think I really discovered Prism and like the spin on Tiny Chat like in real time.
Mm,
And then just like throughout those jams, like, you know, it's like you've got the creative juices going, and then the other guys are like putting ideas in and be like, oh, like, just think you can do like another one? And like, oh, let's see. And you know, you're just kind of like really having fun with it and like not being like scared of like things not working out. And so, yeah, just, yeah, lots of
Shout out Tiny
experimentation.
Chat.
shout out Tiny
Yeah.
Chat. That is a really funny little cardist um, style of like critique or like feedback. Is always just like whatever you're doing, no matter how good it is, they're like, can you do can you double it?
Now make it spin, you know.
Yeah,
Now
now
make
make
it
it
spin.
spin. Make it spin twice, and then make two of them, and then it'll be really cool.
That's
And you
a
did that.
Zui
You
Zui
took that to
approach.
heart
A great
because
Yeah,
we,
Zui.
yeah.
just
Well,
had to.
those moves are absolutely bananas, by the way. Double
Yeah, and
flat, the
then
flat, like,
oh, this one.
Dude, yeah, so well that was an idea that I had from like before quitting, like back in the forum days, because I really love the flower fan, and I kind of give myself credit for doing the giant flower fan first.
we were just talking
Mostly.
about that. Your photo in the Handl Lords forums is just a
Yeah.
Yeah.
giant double flower fan.
Yeah, and so at the time, um, like on my computer, I don't know if it recorded video or if it just like took pictures, but I was like, I had this idea. I was like, I need some kind of evidence of this, and so like I just had it as my avatar on Handl Lords.
Yes.
Um, and I think I was the first to do that, and then someone else put it in a video later. Anyway, but anyway,
No, it was
I
a
was really,
personal discovery.
It was a
yeah,
personal scar. No,
yeah.
Devo invented that. Excuse me.
Well, here's a tidbit. I had asked Jerry about it because
Oh,
I emailed Jerry and I think I lost the email at the time. But I was like, hey, like, do you think this is possible? I sent him a picture of the giant flower fan, and he's like, looks really good. I don't think it's possible without like a gimmicked deck with like cards that are like glued together like this. So like, oh, okay, well, you know, it's like I can do it anyway. So
I can literally do it, Jerry.
you
So
defied the Flourish Man. Wow.
yeah.
On Matt's stream, you gave some advice to listeners, which is that for competitions, they shouldn't hold back. Like, is this something you witness in like further contests and competitions that have come through in recent times?
Um, I will say that in some cases, I think in some competitions, there were some big names in there that we expected a lot from in like the early rounds, and we saw the videos and we're like, huh, we were kind of wanting more from them.
Mhm.
And then there's like some other guys that were like going like a lot harder, and we're like, yeah, they should be in just because of like the merit of their video being better.
Definitely.
So I think there's some truth to that, but also it seems a little like maybe tone deaf to say because like maybe I mean like me a couple years ago in Fontaine trials like I was like maybe I didn't have as much material at that time to go like really hard and so like I couldn't so
You
but
went
if
pretty
you
hard. Those
I
videos
I,
are great.
I tried my best but I was
Yeah, I think people were just expecting a different kind of content because you had a lot of snippets of
yeah yeah
but great concepts in your trials run, and like I remember looking through like some of the story posts that you had, like breaking down the move list and stuff, and you actually like mapped out the motions, terrains, and like the abbreviations
yeah
for the nomenclature of those moves.
yeah so yeah for competitions like if you find yourself in the luxurious position of having enough material to like really go hard from round one, you should do it.
Definitely. Yeah, because
You
like
you and I were up against each other in a competition as well. I don't know if you remember this, but it was Shivraj's Cardistry
Oh
contest.
my god, that's right.
That's when you submitted Rose,
oh
which
Yeah.
crazy.
is insane, insane. I just had, I guess, more moves. But
Oh,
after,
you came at it with the volume and also pogo.
Yeah, you
oh
pogoed
yeah,
it.
I
That's
pogoed it. Yeah,
the winning recipe.
yeah, as Zach has shown us. But later on, I saw you do Tars from Interstellar with cards, and I
Yeah,
was like, that's too much.
I mean at that point when you're just making like boxes and just like connecting it to each other, it's just
Mhm.
like it's maybe something else. It's maybe not even Cardistry. It's you just working with like
Well,
ghost cubes and like
oh yeah, exactly.
building.
Ghost Cubes was a big inspiration to me. You are big into Lego, as we
Yeah,
just
yeah.
saw before the stream. You had
Death Star. No,
your
not
Lego
a Death Star.
sculpture.
Sorry, not a Death Star. Sorry,
Um,
Star
does that
Destroyer.
also influence your creative process, like your fascination with Lego?
Ah, it's somewhere in there. It had something to do with it because I've been like building and creating and playing with Lego since I was like 2 years old. Um, and so maybe I just had a knack for it. Like I just gravitated towards that because that's like what my mind wanted. I wanted like some kind of like medium and outlet to create with.
Hmm.
And so maybe it's not that like Lego like helped me to create cardistry, but like it fostered that part of my brain that also like creates moves with cards.
I can see that. I think with you too. Um, and this is might be XCM mentality that a lot of cardists could actually take from is we are very quick to disregard an idea or something if we can't figure it out very quickly.
Mm.
And I know with you, like you'll have a concept and you will really work at it and like look at all the ins and outs of it and like really push it
Yeah,
to the limit.
yeah,
And maybe it doesn't work out, but you really tried. And I think that's how you've probably discovered some of like every facet of spinning a box between your fingers, and then two, and then five, all that, or even like the concept with like that card like flipping over that we talked about in between the packets and something.
yeah.
But yeah, when it comes to creativity, do you have any tips? Because like, do you start with a really cool mechanism, like maybe a little unique aspect of a deck of cards that you find interesting, or do you have a bigger concept? when you go into like what's kind of your
Yeah,
process?
it's really both, and I know other cardists in the past have talked about like head creating versus like hand creating, and like
Hmm.
making something while you're messing with cards and having an idea. For me, it's really been both. For a lot of shapes, it's an idea, like the shape is in the head already, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to get to that shape.
Square.
Yes, square, back of the hand, big one.
Big square. Sorry.
And then for other things like push through square, it was me working with like this kind of concept, like just this grip,
Yeah,
and then playing around with it, realizing I could do some other stuff with it, and then uh, you know make the move with it. Um, yeah, it's really both. Um, yeah, I think sometimes like getting a good idea just by messing with cards is like a little trickier because you can like play with cards for a while and like not come up with anything that you can work with. But
definitely. Like the one that comes to mind for me of your material is in the Fontaine Discoveries, I think it was called.
yeah,
Uh, but you have the move where it's a square and then it's another
oh yeah,
square
square
in
and
the
square.
middle. Square and square. Um, but that is so intricate. It's almost like a puzzle. And like I feel like you must have used a lot of conscious brain power to like actually figure that out. Or was that a fluke? Because
You
it's
know,
all so
it
intentional. It
was
looks so
it was
precise.
it was partially a fluke. So I was messing Kevin with your
A slide
what's this thing?
alongside.
Yeah. So I was messing with this as like the opener to get like to there, and then
Mm.
like this kind of sliding thing. And then when I was playing around with that, I noticed that um, kind of like some of the packets like dragged and got caught and left some space. And then when I
Mm.
tried to like slide it, it was like, oh, it's kind of doing something interesting. Um, and so I just like kind of like took that mistake and that nugget and then developed it into square and square. So
It's
I love
fascinating.
that.
I mean, sometimes you just got to get really lucky. Like, you mess with cards enough, you're gonna get lucky eventually. And
Yeah,
Definitely.
that reminds me. On Instagram, Spencer has a post that has a caption, and he says, "Create the move, film the move, never do the move again."
yeah, yeah,
Is that
yeah.
something that you resonate
The
with?
the Aviv mentality as well. Yeah, 'cause and I don't know if it's like the right mentality to have because I look at my moves and I'm like, wow, it would be really nice to be able to do this consistently, like for lay people if I worked at it more. But for other things, I'm just like the process of getting it on camera feels like so cathartic and like there's such a release, like
Hmm.
with like flip back square and then the hexagon,
Yeah.
like
Mm.
working for like so long to get those on camera, and then when you do, you're just kind of like you can just like exhale and you're like, okay, I got that one, it's on the record, I can move on from it. Because sometimes they take up such a big amount of your headspace when you're working on it,
Hmm.
and like it's like such an obsession. And to be able to say that you're done with it, at least for
Yeah,
the time being, it feels really good. You're like,
definitely.
you can move on to other things.
Are there moves of yours that you've created that you don't feel you've captured on camera well yet because of the way that it needs to be filmed? Because I know that for Discoveries, you were glad to have been filming with like Kyle, and also for the trials, you had Sean to help you out with.
Yeah.
But do you have certain material that you feel hasn't been filmed right yet, and so you're not done with it per se?
Uh, I feel like most of my moves actually. um, And I think that's part of that's just a bit of like me being too critical of my stuff. Um, and being like, oh, that performance really could have been better. Because I feel like one part of my cardistry game that I'm more like conscious of and like less good at is just like my overall handling and like ability to do moves cleanly. Because you look at guys like the Danes, they do everything perfectly. The Verts, they do everything perfectly. Everything meaning like their repertoire of like 5 moves that they, you know,
Yeah.
are drilling. And I think that makes me a little like self-conscious. I'm like, ugh, like I got the performance, but it wasn't like quite at that level that I wish it was at. Um, so yeah, quite a few moves I have thought that the performance could be better and it would be cool to refilm. But also the other
But
part of me like doesn't want to like refilm old material.
I honestly think, and I think you're like a big exception to what we're just talking about is, yes, there is the perfect take where it's clean and everything's square, whatever. But I think some of your old videos, so say like piano cuts, for example, you filmed them they were in your WKC, I think, in somewhere,
Yeah, yeah, they were in the second round actually.
and they looked great. But then when you filmed with Boz
In
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the
expansion.
in expansion with the track and the way he filmed it, and like
Yes.
Boz is so talented, but there's so much movement in the way he filmed it in the
Yeah.
hands, and then you also like reverse it, flip it and reverse it, and then they look incredible. And like by no means are this is it like perfectly done. It's almost perfect, but it's not like a perfect take. But it looks so good, and I would take a take like that over like a perfectly clean shot, sterile take any day. Same with like a lot of the WKC performances too. It's just like the setting and the pace of the camera and the track. Like that's what
Yeah.
makes the move forever like in the culture. I think.
And the
Yeah.
lighting too.
And the lighting. Yeah, you're filming like a tunnel or something for your final. Doing Chevron, crazy.
Yeah.
Chevron.
So
Yeah, that's a good point. And also I can say that about myself, but like if someone else is unhappy with their move performances and they take their videos down, I'm like, bro, why is this
yeah,
private? Why can't I watch this now?
yeah.
You know,
I
and I'll
know.
and I'll come after them for the same
So
reason
we,
that I'm like conscious about my own moves.
yeah, we all be thankful for Reggie, who's preserving all this stuff on Cardistry Archive right now.
Definitely, definitely,
Ethics be damned.
definitely.
Um, I was listening to Jerry's Flashcards podcast, and he calls contest winning moves nukes. That's his
I
nomenclature for
like
moves
that.
that are meant to end the competition. Like I don't know where to go with that topic. I just thought it was interesting.
Nukes.
Yeah, I
Um,
think we've seen a few of those in competition lately. Like, I mean, we are just talking about Death Star. Like, I feel like that was like a nuke kind of move. Like,
Is that Trevor's?
yeah, yeah, um, yeah. They've got
Trevor's got nukes for
they've
sure.
got so many nukes.
Yeah, Nikita's got nukes,
Yeah,
Nikita does have nukes.
and
Lars definitely had.
Lars got nukes.
Lars got nukes.
Kevin Wu, I feel like got table nukes.
We gotta bring back nukes
We got to bring back nukes.
from a
Nukes are so
19-year-old
crazy. It's
podcast.
so crazy. And I feel like you know immediately that you have a nuke when you figure it out. You're like, oh,
yeah.
this is crazy. Um,
This is
yeah.
Jaspis' nuke is the palm shift
Low key, yeah,
Uh,
low key,
yeah.
yeah.
because
Loki
because
facts.
what was your reaction to Netcode, Andrew, when it premiered during the WKC?
Ah, man, all of Jaspis's videos in the WKC were like they were so high level and like like yeah, very conceptual, but like done so well and like really caught me off guard, especially the live performance, not live on, the uncut one
Oh yeah.
when like it was made to look like it was inside and then like some people like move the walls around and he's like
Yes, yes.
Crazy.
and the scenery opens up.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
No, he went super hard with the video concepts and production and
Yeah.
like
Presentation was
even in
key.
netcode, just when I found out, I was like, oh wait, you're doing moves for both sides. I mean,
I know, and I didn't realize that until
yeah,
later too.
yeah.
And
Um,
the end where he was like, I can do this with just one
oh
card.
dude, that was such a moment. That was a huge meme in the community, like afterwards, and oh man, no, that was top 10 anime moments for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Love that.
Drew, I,
Brenda.
I have a question about poop decks.
Yeah,
Um, I feel like you have some of the best poop decks on this earth.
I wish that were true.
Well,
Um,
I don't know. You and Aviv, there's something about your tallies every time I pick them up and they're brown, but they fan so well. Um, how long do you like
yeah.
work on a deck?
Ah, well,
It's a
you see
safe space.
you say I've got some of the best poop decks. In my mind, I don't because I don't know if I have that many of them. I go through
Mm.
cards very slowly. My hands are pretty dry.
This is the perfect segue for my next question
Okay, okay,
because I
perfect.
know your hands are dry, and I think,
Yeah, and I feel like with Spencer, like
oh,
he
he's wet, wet,
you
wet.
give him a deck for 5 minutes, you get back and you're like, oh, this is a poop deck now.
I
No,
have a deck of the OG like Magic Con Star deck that Spencer
Oh
gave to
yeah, the
me.
2012s.
yeah,
It feels
Yeah.
like the card is literally a different material. It's like so
it's
like
like a pillow.
m-
Soaked.
malleable.
Like a
Um,
pillow?
it's kind of like a pillow, and the cards stick together like so well, but they're so soft, but they're so sticky, and that's the Spencer
Yeah,
deck. Um, but yeah, the hand conditioning within the community. I know so much about cardists' hand sweat properties. It's insane. I know
yeah.
you have dry hands. I know Spencer has really sweaty hands. I know Nikolai has like really dry hands, perfect for card cutting in Copenhagen.
Hmm.
Um, um, I just wanted
Yeah,
to
I feel like I
bring
mean,
up that.
yeah, it's very distinctive to the point where like you might be able to identify. It's like, oh yeah, this is a Spencer deck. It's got the Spencer deck properties.
I feel like if there was a blind test, like blindfold me, and then I gotta like touch hands, I could tell who's who by their hand dryness to sweat ratio.
Yeah,
That should
Crazy.
be the new, that should be the new way that instead of people going to Cardistry Con and having people sign decks, they just like hand them the deck for them to handle for like 5 minutes and they get them back and they're like,
yeah,
well,
that'd
this
be
is
sick.
dripping.
Uh, yeah, like CardistryCon, Berlin, or just any CardistryCon. When I get the swag bag of just like random decks, I always think I'm like these. I'm so sorry to these decks. Like they are gonna go through it with my hands and my sweat, and they have come to die today, and they will not be coming home with me. So,
I think part of
but
it is
yeah.
also just the climate that you're in. Because I recall when I went to New York for the con there, uh, my hands were significantly stickier, and like I could almost padiddle because of like the tackiness. And I was like, oh,
Right.
huh, is this how the guys do it? Like they
Yeah.
just got this hand property that makes it easier to do.
I mean, I think you can go real far back with it to the genesis when a cardist makes the decision of becoming XCMer or a cut kitty.
Yeah,
Has it to do with their hand sweat properties? Are we born into the factions? You know,
interesting.
were you born to be an XCMer or were you born to be, you know?
Yeah,
Is
What
it
was it
it's,
about?
nature
it's
or nurture?
Nature or nurture?
not the sorting hat, just sorting gloves. It's like, oh,
Yeah. You
you're too
shake Devo's
dry.
hand. He's like, yeah, yeah, that's a good sweaty hand. You're in.
Just puts the cloak on you.
Definitely. Yeah,
Speaking of
let's not about hand
cloaks,
sweat.
speaking of cloaks, like Andrew, do you know who is in the Omen 4? I know it's Lars and Marius Jr. are two of them. Like, who are the other two?
I feel like it might be a rotating group.
It's a roster.
Yeah, volunteers.
I've been benched
Yeah.
on the Omen 4.
'Cause yeah, in the secret book acknowledgments, I feel
Mm.
like that might give you an idea, but there's all these names in there, Marius Jr., like Lars, Dom, Hetty, who are these people?
Yeah.
Like
Meg Ryan,
Master Lou? Like what?
yeah, Lady Z.
Master Lou, Lady Z.
Yeah,
Master Lou?
I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up.
You met Lady Z?
No, no, no.
No,
I'm
no,
like
no.
Oh,
just
sorry.
the
Fanboy moment.
the whole your first XCM crush.
She had very
Yeah,
long nails and a
yeah,
knife.
yeah.
Speaking of ladies, Lady Dragonfly picked up a lot of flack from, I think, the Technique side when she was debuting her stuff, and the Handl Lords people got so mad about
Oh
that.
yeah. I wasn't around for that, but the posts were still up, and so like if it ever came up, I'd be like, oh, let me look up and see. Um, yeah, crazy stuff. And I think the Handlords guys were like, oh yeah, see, technique people, they really are haters, and we are not. We're
Why
so
would they do
innocent
this
over
to an
here.
innocent girl?
A girl. Yeah.
I, wait, are Lady Z and Lady Dragonfly different?
They're different. They're different. Lady
Okay.
Z is like
Uh,
behind the scenes person at Handl Lords who
Um,
like helped out with
so I'm thinking
product
of
management and
Lady
shipping.
Dragonfly. Yes.
Yeah,
She is Lady Z is in supply chain. Yeah, Lady Dragonfly is who I'm thinking about. Uh,
yeah. Lady Dragonfly had the haircut with the hair in the deck.
lady,
with
She would like,
the yes,
lady supply
yes.
chain.
The video was very high quality, production wise. Very
Mhm.
edgy.
very
Yeah,
edgy.
yeah. I think Devo like produced it and all that, so he put out good work.
He did.
Yeah,
He was for the culture.
yeah. Do you guys remember Q?
Oh yeah. You in the limousine? One-on-one limousine ride with Devo.
Yo, it's Q. Um,
And it's
I
just
was
Devo
showing.
doing moves in the limo for Q, private performance.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
Basically,
man.
basically a Cardistry lap dance.
Basically, yeah.
Just
And
doing moves, just
He
doing moves
gave
up in their face.
he's so close to his face. And like there's like strobe lights going and he's just doing like L cuts like and then Q did not get anything down. If you were new and you watched the Q segment, you're like, oh, I this is impossible because Q doesn't get a single move down.
Which is funny because that was like the point of bringing him in. It's like, oh, like even this person off the streets can learn
Yeah,
these moves, and he doesn't.
Yeah,
Big Bang
I was
Bus
rewatching
vibes.
it with some people. I was
Sorry, too
rewatching the
far.
Q segments with some people who had never seen XB recently, and I was like, is Q like a bad learner or is Jerry like a bad teacher? I don't.
Yeah, there's some moments in XB that I have issues with. He hates
Such
the Lapal
as?
spread. He hates,
Yes.
and he called it the Jerry spread or something. He's like,
Yeah,
he's
I
just
think
like,
there's a,
which is just spreading the cards.
yeah.
Damn you, LaPaul.
Damn you, Lapal! I felt a type of way about that.
Yeah, but we brought it back with Buzz
Yeah.
Buzz.
Also, yeah, Jerry and his OCD need to scrape his fans together every time he did two single hand fans.
Also, Jerry was responsible for a lot of people having their elbows glued together back in the mid 2000s with
Very
L
proud.
cuts and the Indus
Yeah,
fans.
to
Oh yeah.
to show it better, because if you do it this way, it's got like the forbidden packet effect.
Yeah, the packet of doom.
Right. Yeah, that's why people were doing that. It looks silly as hell.
Also from XB, in one of the previous episodes, Brendan, we talked about the disappointment of Flash Dre. But one
Yes.
thing that I had forgotten about that was in XB is G-Force.
Oh, is that where it's just like,
The G-Force is the flip back, but done with your legs bent and like
what?
twisted around like this.
Oh my
Again,
God.
17 years later, I still don't have XP, so I don't have the reference for this.
I mean, honestly, I bought XP. I had XP and I had the system, so I could have gone either way. And I watched XP.
So
I was like, this
G-Force was
can't do
like
it.
this.
Yeah.
Like he would
So
he would
like,
do the flip back like that.
well, so like a pseudo version of like Chase's like,
Yeah.
It
huh,
was because there was Cradle to Grave, there was the system, there was all this cool stuff,
yeah.
and XP was a little more affordable, I think. So you're like, okay, I'll get XP, and then it's just the lamest version of everything you want to learn
With Q.
with Q. Although it did make my fans better. It was good for fanning for sure.
Yeah, there's like an hour-long workshop on fanning from Jerry, who
Yeah.
has like
The
the
fanning
That
nicest
workshop is great.
fans.
He
that
teaches you
is
to
really
cock it back.
that's really the extent that Handlor's people valued like perfect technique and fans, to
Oh
the point
yeah.
where like, oh yeah, in this beginner's DVD, you're gonna do a 1 hour workshop on fans.
I mean,
But
I mean, you're a giant fan. It's probably the best in the game,
Thank you.
Andrew.
Um, I very much modeled it after Max's Giant Fans and
mm,
Web Ghosts.
Web
nice.
Ghost.
Yeah.
Because
Two deep
you do the giant
OGs.
giant pressure thing, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like a pseudo pressure fan, because I don't know if I get like the full like bend and pressure.
It has
But
the look of a pressure fan from like the
yeah,
handling of
yeah,
it,
yeah,
the shape of it.
yeah,
And
definitely.
then you make it a full thing, and then you do the fan spin. You turn
Oh
sideways and do
yeah,
the spin.
fan twirl.
Fan twirl. Bring fan twirls back.
I
Yeah,
know.
that's that's a nuke.
That's a nuke.
Giant fan twirl is a nuke.
This is hard. Giant fans, period, are a nuke. Lay people go crazy for giant fans.
Yeah.
Lay people love giant fans.
Which reminds me of
Um,
that moment at the end of Portable Playground 2. The giant fans!
the giant fan montage.
I was rewatching it recently. I totally forgot about that part, and I thought I was done with the video. And then that part comes on, and I'm laughing so hard.
Yeah, I think we had all four of us doing them.
Yep,
Oh
amazing.
man, good times. Good
Yeah.
times.
All right, Andrew. Now it's time for some questions. First off, we start with our top three. This week we are changing it up a little bit. Brendan has a new format for the questions.
New
I'll let you
format.
go ahead, Brendo.
New format. Um, so yeah, we do the top threes. I think we put Franco through too much torture with it. So we're gonna shake it up a little bit.
Franco,
So
Franco really switched it on you guys as well.
He
he
did.
flipped. He's like, "No, you tell me your top three."
I'm the
Um,
captain now.
yeah, Franco
He
mentalist
pulled
us.
the Uno reverse card on us.
Yeah, Quiver Key King.
He's the
Um,
Equivoke.
Equivoke. You evoked us. But it's gonna still have the same top threes, but instead it'll be so let's start with decks, for example. Top three decks. Top classic deck, top kind of
Ooh.
new age deck, and then favorite deck of all time. And then that will be the same format for all the categories.
Okay, so seven in total, or
Uh, 12.
12.
okay. Oh geez, I don't even know if I've used that many different decks. Okay.
Oh no, like across the categories. There's 12
Oh,
Oh,
sorry,
okay.
categories,
Okay.
across the
but
categories, yeah. So there'll
but
be
within
fa
with,
favorite deck, favorite cardist, favorite move, favorite video.
I was questioning my math for a second, but okay.
yeah,
Give me your
but
top
within
top
each
12 decks.
category, it's like, classic, new age, and all time. So just the three within each category of the four categories.
Okay. Uh, so we can start with decks. Um, so favorite all time?
Yeah.
Uh, or classic. We'll start with classic.
Classic. Okay. Well, I think the classic kind of includes like favorite of all time. It should be pretty much everyone else has mentioned it too. But
Definitely.
I guess to widen it out, I would. Are these classic yet? Can these be the
Those are very,
Magicons?
very rare.
It's been 12 years. I think we can. I think that's enough time.
All right, I would say that is a classic deck for me. Um, they feel amazing,
Hmm.
firstly, and I mean the colors are so beautiful. The design, like the thickness of the borders,
Yeah.
and just I think again
Can we
just
have a three up of all of us?
Wait, let me get mine.
Brendan.
I think it might be in the basement where Spencer gave it to me
Oh, okay.
during Portable Playground 2.
All all
Yeah,
those years ago, there it remains.
All those years ago.
with Spencer's hand conditioning. So
Definitely.
yeah, classic deck. Um, Magicon 2012.
Yeah,
Great choice.
yeah. Um, two more classic decks.
No, new deck. New.
Oh, new deck. There's there's a couple that I'll mention. Really love the Pink Fontaines.
Hmm.
Those had like an amazing feel with
They
like
were so thin
how
too.
thin they were. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing feel, lovely color. Um, the black orbits also
Hmm.
like
Mm.
amazing feeling stock, like great finish. Really cool design too. Um,
With the rocket ships.
yeah, that like kind of like crosses over the border. Um, so I'll say this one, and it may be controversial, and I guess partly like it feels weird to say because I haven't really used it that much, but the design is one of my favorites. It's the first entry deck.
Oh,
Mm.
drops. I love that.
Yeah,
So good. Such a great deck.
yeah.
I
Um,
don't I don't know if it's controversial. I think that's a very good deck.
okay, maybe it's just the everything else around it may be a bit controversial,
Oh,
but
maybe. Yeah, with
um,
the drama.
yeah. Again, the colors that's not something you really see in most decks. Just that beautiful color palette, and then like the way that the borders are formed,
Yeah.
where it's like the border is like not really there, but it's like integrated into the card. That's mwah, amazing.
Very sick. And then
Um,
favorite all time.
Favorite of all time, gotta be the red tally hose, circle backs.
Right here. We got him.
Boom.
Yeah,
Bam. Bingity boom. Blue
yep,
seal though, right?
of course. Yeah. For for motions, I got some that were like remade on like a web press or something. I forgot
Yeah,
where.
that's the one that I have right now. They're
Okay.
from 20, 2020.
Yeah, those also felt really good. They
Yeah, they feel decent. They're better than the Black Seal ones.
Yeah, they did what I wanted. But yeah, definitely the the blue seal ones.
Okay.
So which
Well,
category are we doing next, Brendan?
how about we do top three cardists? So to clarify, you only have to pick three, but one is
Okay.
like old, then one's new, and then one's all time.
Okay.
And
Okay.
maybe if like your all time is a new or old,
Okay.
maybe pick
Okay.
like another. You know what I mean?
Okay. Um. All right. If we're going old, Yeah, it's
Sorry,
gotta be.
vintage. We're not old.
Well, oh no, this one is old because it would have to be Devo. So
Yes.
I'm approaching this list in terms of like the guys and people who have like inspired me the most throughout
Mm,
cardistry,
Hmm.
mhm.
and definitely Devo is like. I guess this is the real controversial answer. Um, but yeah, like I mean, so many of the moves and not just moves, but like concepts. The guy had like ideas for you to build on, and so there's like
Hmm.
lots of depth there. Um, and yeah, yeah, very much like influenced me is the reason like I started in cardistry and XCM. So, yep. Um, for new cardists, it would be Trevor.
Nice.
Um,
Two-time world champion.
insane, absolutely insane what they've done. Because like we were talking about like nukes, and
Oh,
they've got so many of them, and like every round of the trials that I saw from them, my mind was like blown, just in terms of like them having like an idea that like seems really impossible, but like following through on it takes like an incredible amount of like resolve and determination, I think, to see like these kind of ideas through and to really like make things that are impossible become possible.
totally.
Hmm.
That's that
And
Andrew style of tinkering with cards that they're doing.
yeah, yeah, like selfishly, I see a lot of myself in them and like their style, and like I think that's another reason it appeals to me because I'm like, damn, like I wish I had made that, with so many of the moves.
I have a memory of Trevor at the Fontaine Guess pop up quite a while
Yeah,
ago, and there was a bunch of cardists there. I think James Chessmore was there, Leo was there, Trevor was there, and I didn't really know Trevor. And everyone was just doing two hand cuts, and I was like, "Hey, Trev, can I see a move?" And they were like, "This." Just like did this like insane like 12 packet display thing like whoa. I was like whoa, okay, sick, and then went back to jamming with James like sitting down in the grass. It was awesome.
they're probably like, yeah, I got to move. It's not really good though. Here's what it is, and then you're like,
Exactly. That's exactly what they said.
and so humble about it, and
Yes. Yes.
amazing person.
That's lovely.
Yeah. And all time, I think is Dimitri.
Hell yeah.
It was hard for me to decide between like Aviv and Dimitri, but I think in terms of like styles and what like inspires me more, I think it's Dimitri. I think with some of Aviv's moves, they're like so like off the wall, and like
Hmm.
the ideas are so like I'm like there's no way I could have ever like thought of that or do anything with that, and but like Aviv's of course he's up there. Um, yeah, for Dimitri, there's a lot of like stylistic crossover, lots of like fans, spreads, shapes, and like all things that inspire my own moves and style.
Did you have a username at one point? Not Dimitri?
Yeah, that was my tiny chat username. Yeah. Um, because again, like at that time, I had like the very big hair, and Dimitri did as well, and so it was a tiny chat joke.
Oh yeah, Dimitri had a kind of some sideburn action as well.
Yeah.
Not nearly as aggressive as you. That was really fun. You did have the same. Okay, that's a great top three. On to the next moves.
Moves.
So what qualifies as a classic move, Brendan? Like, is it just something that's been around for like over 10 years?
That's a great question. I guess we didn't really put goalposts on these categories, but I think like for us three, we've been around the block. You kind of can tell what's an old move and what's a new move. You know,
Yeah, like spring,
to
that's
add
an
no
old move.
clarity at all. Spring is definitely old. Yeah, riffle shuffle is
Is it?
pretty old. Um, anything, I guess like I don't know. Use your judgment. I trust you.
Yeah, yeah, there, there. Hmm. This was one of the categories that I didn't prepare for. It's like so expansive. I think old moves for me. I know I said spring. That's definitely like one of the most amazing moves of all time, but probably giant fan for me, just in terms of like a move that like I really enjoy doing, that I can do really well, and like that looks amazing.
Mhm.
Giant fan.
Giant fan deserves more respect for sure. New move.
New move.
Modern moves.
Hmm. This might be something we need to circle back to because like I need some time to think about it because there's yeah so much stuff out there.
Okay.
Cool. Well, we can move on to the videos category.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, let's see, old videos. Furious Angels.
It's a
Incredible.
great video.
Yeah. Um, Bone was also a huge inspiration. Um, watching them like when I first started, I don't know if I really knew who was who between like Devo and Bone,
Mhm.
but like yeah, definitely some of like the first videos that I saw that really inspired me were from Bone. Um, and yeah, I really loved that video so much and used it basically as a reference for motions,
Mhm.
just in terms of how I was, you know, thinking about approaching it and basically remaking it. So yeah, Furious Angels, um, Mew, I would say offhand
Oh,
from
Oliver's.
from Oliver.
Mm.
Yeah,
Impeccable vibes.
Yeah, so cozy.
yeah. He's
And the Gone Girl soundtrack?
yeah,
Yes, the little bell noise.
Yeah.
yeah, incredible.
Excellent.
He's one of my favorite like of course, he's an incredible cardist, but he's, I feel like, an equally incredible, like, cardistry video maker.
Mhm.
Because, like, there's so many of his videos that I just, like, I watch them over and over and over again because they're amazing. Yeah, offhand, um, just very, very much a vibes video, and I think maybe that has to do with, like, when it came out. I think it was, like, in, like, the winter time, and just, something about it felt really cool. And it just has this kind of feeling of being like the tip of an iceberg. Like you see it and there's this feeling there's like a lot more underneath it and like other concepts within it to explore. So I think
Yeah, I think that was the first time I saw One Hand TaylorMade in that video,
yeah,
and that was a crazy move.
yeah. Um and all time hard to say for sure. I'll just toss out some notable ones. Probably Silent Transition would be one of them. Uh, Trevor's most recent final for the Fontaine trials,
Hmm.
like every shape known to man. Um, And maybe my favorite like all time would be is it Vibe by Aviv?
Aviv.
Oh
Yeah, Vibe.
yeah,
Is it called Vibe?
Yeah, it's called
vibe.
Vibe. It's the one where he does the square vanish with the
Yeah,
queen, and then he
yeah.
starts off the video doing like the dribbles like this.
Yep, that's the one. Yeah. I love I know the other two videos I mentioned are like pretty long, but I love card videos that are like very like short and sweet and
Hmm.
like really like show just like various angles of cardistry and like Aviv's one of the best to do that.
Hmm.
And also that video was like the first one he had done in like so many years, and so like when that came out it was such a surprise and felt so special. And
I think that video made it onto Unilad at that time. It
oh
went like
really?
semi-viral. Yeah,
Mm.
Amazing.
my
Yeah.
man Aviv.
Yeah, and the moves too, like the fan to like kind of like
Oh
catch the
yeah,
thing is
yeah, that
incredible. I
thing.
love that so much.
That's such a good move.
Yeah.
And technically a bedroom video too, in a way, just filmed on like a almost looks like a webcam at a high angle, all done himself. The view
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah. It just has that great feeling of like things that you love to see in a card video.
Definitely,
Um, I think to some extent, like that's the kind of video that like we've all made at some point. That like every cardist has made, just kind of like the bedroom video. But that one is like the best to do it.
definitely,
Yeah, I think
definitely.
like up that and like Black Belt are probably some of the best bedroom
Yeah,
videos.
yeah.
Definitely.
And for
But
better or worse, like the bedroom video is like such a mainstay of cardistry videos and the culture.
Yeah. Long live Jonas.
long live Jonas.
So
Uh,
have you have any more consideration for the two remaining top move categories? Modern and all time?
Um,
I know we're putting you on the spot.
yeah. Um, it feels bad if I say one of my moves,
No.
just say the piano routine if you want to. It's fine.
but like honestly, double flower fans.
Oh
Like
yeah, that's totally fair.
yeah,
It's a crazy move.
I'm okay. I'll let myself have that one. Because it was also something that I had in mind for so long and had been like trying to figure out, and then like the way to do it felt super satisfying, and yeah.
And now everyone thinks it's burgers.
Nah, now everyone just says like Bloom is the better.
And
uh,
all time.
all time. You know what? I could just say Heaven Display and call it.
Heaven Display is
Insane
excellent.
concept.
Great name as well.
And also the mystique behind it because everyone had to hide it
Yeah,
from the
Yes,
public. So it was one of those if you know kind of moves.
totally.
yeah.
Like
Um,
how often do you have that anymore? A move that's hidden behind a paywall.
yeah.
Heaven
Honestly, that
Display
should come
is
back.
it's what I think it is, right? It's like birdie fan,
Yeah, fan balance.
Yeah. Fan on fan.
fan on fan, fan on fan balance.
Yeah.
I'll put more thought into this later, and then maybe post a redacted list. But I feel good
It's a
about
good
that for now.
it's a good list. We'll follow up.
So, shall we get into the audience questions?
Yeah.
Okay. So, we got some questions from Instagram and Reddit. Starting off, Ninja Robot asks, well, he says, I have not been in the cardistry scene that long, but I've never seen many others doing what Andrew does with the displays and sculptures. Shout out Cubic Space, mind blowing. What was the thing that finally clicked in the brain for you that made you go, there's this whole unexplored territory of shapes and structures in cardistry that you can build with your hands?
Well, a lot of that started from the very beginning of when I got into cards. Um, so I guess little backstories that like I started doing Magic, and then I found my way to a Magic website, and then they had Devo's Black Tiger performance video on there, and that
I
like
remember that
really
video.
Oh yeah.
really captured my interest and made me want to go like full time in
There's a
music.
point there's a couple points in that video where DeVoe is green.
Yeah, yeah, crazy color grading. And then so I looked into more of his videos at the time, and there's this video of him doing a coin roll and then a Virek in the
Yeah.
other hand, and that was like one of the early videos that I saw, and like as a beginner, I was like trying to learn how to do a one-handed square because the concept seemed so so challenging to me, but it looked so amazing. Just the idea of being able to make like a shape in your hands. And like as I just practiced more, I think just the thought of just being able to make structures and shapes seemed seemed appealing to me, whether or not it was the aspect of like uncovering some idea that had been hidden away. Um, yeah, it was just something I latched onto for whatever reason. Conceptually, it's simple, but to produce some of the shapes, it takes a lot of reverse engineering, a lot of thought process, and
Yeah. I saw from your chat with Jaspis that for Chevron you actually like mapped it out on paper.
yeah, yeah, because that was inspired by this wire sculpture that I saw. That was really like the same kind of shape,
Mhm.
and I saw it. I was like, that'd maybe be cool as a move. And so like I drew it out. I was like, oh, the finger could go here, here, and here, so I can get like this many layers theoretically, and then kind of just like played around with it till it worked. Um, so yeah, I think it also takes someone who is willing to take on like kind of like a puzzling kind of a challenge, because some of
Mhm.
them like they are like a puzzle that you're trying to figure out.
Right. Cool.
Yeah. Great answer. There's something about Chevron too. There's only a few moves I can think of that do this, but like you're watching the performance and you hit a point where it's already in stemming, but then you keep going and then you keep going because the bottom packets take a little while to get to, but like already
Yeah,
you have this amazing structure and it keeps going and keeps
yeah.
going. So satisfying.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Aslan asks, what was your motivation for WKC?
I I think I just felt like putting my style out there at that point. I was
Hmm.
again like I was coming back into cardistry, and I didn't see a lot of people doing what I was doing. There were like lots of like packet cutting, um, this D4I and other guys that were like very more like they had more like range to their moves, I guess.
Hmm.
But I felt like I had a unique kind of move set that I could showcase, and I was still very like self-conscious and unsure if like the moves were good. But I would talk a lot with Dimitri and Antoine or Ryoma
Yeah.
and like show them new moves and be like, hey, does this look good? Like how about this? And they're like super honest, like brutally honest sometimes, but that was like really good. Um, but they're like, yeah, you should. They're like, yeah, you've got what it takes. The moves are good, and so I felt just good enough to join, and then yeah, when people really reacted well to the first round, like I felt very like validated that
Hmm.
like that this style was still appreciated and that like people liked it.
Yeah, I feel that your style is like alongside Spencer and Aviv's in the sense that it's like an XCM Handl Lords reach, but within the realm of a cardistry approach, where it's not black background, black turtleneck,
Yeah, yeah,
and lots of deck twirls, but rather something that's more casual seeming while having a nuke being dropped.
yeah. Unfortunately, part of that Handlord style, like they really prized uncut routines, and
Mm.
like all the competitions were uncut. But to some extent, I think that kind of like limits the things that you can put on camera because like some things are just too difficult to do in an
Mhm.
uncut. Um, yeah.
Patrick has a question. He says, "Who are your biggest influences with geometry slash shape building, not including Jerry or Devo?"
Hmm. Um, maybe this isn't a non-tangible way, but the artist MC Escher,
Hmm.
he did a lot of like repeating pattern, like art illusions, and then um, maybe famously like this one of like a cube with people walking in different planes of the cube.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because I'm at least was like more into like 2D visual art, and like that artist was a big inspiration then, and I feel like just in terms of my shapely tendencies, very much inspirational. Um, and there's also I don't know his name. I'm sorry. The Ghost Cube artist.
Oh, is it Eric? Eric something. Let me see.
Yeah,
Ghosts,
that was
cubes.
that was a direct inspiration. Um, and also again, like sometimes you just pull inspiration from real life. You know, you see a shape out in the wild. You know, you see a shape in Transformers 2, and you want to replicate it, and you know
This is
you
2A, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and you come up with this, and so yeah, there's lots of inspiration in unlikely
Yeah.
places.
Ghost Cubes by Eric Aubert.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so
Great.
maybe not
Yeah.
always like inspiration from people, but from the physical world.
Yeah, yeah. People definitely need to reach outside of just within the card world to gather inspiration for their creative work.
Awesome.
Napalm Slurpee says, grower or shower?
Definitely grower.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Our friend P1 Customs asks, do you have any advice for in real life experiences in areas with very few cardists, such as Portland? And yes, I realize I should be reaching out to Andrew to begin with.
Um, yeah, and unfortunately, I think the card scene over here is kind of like shrunken down because
Hmm.
some years ago uh, there was a more lively scene, and I don't know, maybe just neglect on some of our parts, it kind of like shrunk away. Um, that's that's a tough question for me to answer because I feel like I don't really interact too much in the community outside of like the people that I already know.
Hmm.
But I've thought about wanting to get back into like the Discord scene or
Hmm.
like some kind of like online jam scene.
Yeah.
Um, there's the missing jams, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I feel like that's potentially a good resource. Um, yeah, that's how I started connecting back with the community after I left. Like I started on Tiny Chat and just like had jams online, and that was good enough for me until we all met in person, and then I was like, oh my gosh, can't wait to see everyone in person again because it's so much better than even just this FaceTime.
Hmm.
Yeah. I posted that clip maybe like a month or two ago of Darren and Aviv uh, facing off in like a Mockingbird battle at the
Yeah,
House of Cardistry in
yeah,
Brooklyn, and you're like
amazing.
in the background, and you're like,
Whoa!
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very, very, very late nights there. A lot of fun.
Yeah. Um, I believe that Billy Markovsky on the Boston Cardistry website, which you can access on the Boston Cardistry Instagram page, has set up a new Cardist map for Cardist because card tutorials
Mm.
only used to have that world cardistry map, but the website went down, and so the map went down with it. But Billy just set up a new one, so the more people contribute to it, the more easy it'll be for people to find each other online. So just little shout out to that,
Yeah,
and hopefully that gives it some traction.
should be asking Kevin about this. He's got all the resources.
Truly.
Let's see. So
But
that's
also
P1
also
Customs.
if
Yeah,
if anyone in Portland is down to jam, like could look into that. I think Carter is still in the area. I know he's up in Seattle, but like
yeah.
it's not
And
too far.
Sean just got married.
Yes, congrats, Sean.
Yeah,
Yes.
congrats,
Congrats to
Sean.
Sean.
One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Oh,
And
Sean, oh, so great.
helped me with so many of my videos, and I am eternally thankful for what he's been as a friend and his role in my cardistry journey.
Yeah, a boy in his cards.
Oh.
So Dan Cardistry asks, "What's your favorite creation of yours?"
Probably double flower fan.
Hmm.
Um, if we're talking about favorite discovery, maybe flip back square.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I really like the moves that I've had where I needed to think about them for a long time because those have a lot of
Mm,
like satisfaction and pride built into them.
right.
Um, kind of feel the same way about one hand hexagon. I wish it looked a little cleaner, but I feel
Right.
similarly about that because yeah, that was a move that I had in mind for like maybe almost 10 years, you know?
Yeah, that was an literally impossible move in the
Yeah.
minds of cardistry a very long time ago, or not that long ago, and you just did it.
Yeah.
I remember. I think I messaged you. I watched it, and for some reason, I thought it was a pentagon. Is that five side?
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember you posted. I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." And then like 5 years later, I watched. I was like, "Oh my god, it's six!" And then I messaged you. I
It
was like,
doing,
"Oh my god, dude, I'm
doing the
so
math.
sorry. I didn't." I didn't react. Back to the day. I'm an idiot. I
Couldn't
thought it was
count.
5.
Oh man, I thought the move was trash for so long because like Brendan hadn't said anything nice about it. I was like, oh man,
Yeah. Matt Lang did it first,
what
and
am I
then
doing?
like,
uh,
oh my God,
Brendan's shitting on your personal discovery.
you
That's not
just
a nuke,
you
bro.
just discovered this, bro.
That's not a nuke, bro. It's not a nuke.
I think I mess. It wasn't even that long ago where I messaged you about this. It was like 8 months
yeah,
ago or something.
yeah.
I'm a fool.
We forgive you, Brendan.
Thank
So
you.
Lev0000 underscore asks, what is your biggest inspiration? And I guess this can apply to like in cardistry, out cardistry. Just who is your biggest inspiration? In fact, it doesn't even say who, it just says biggest inspiration. So it could be a
Mhm.
thing.
Well, that could be a really deep question if I think about it that way. Um, and I think in some ways it's people in real life that I'm close to that show a lot of heart and resilience, and
Hmm.
they persevere through adversity and kind of like they make you in awe of how they're able to go through these things and still like have a good attitude and still have a a tremendous heart.
Hmm.
So stuff, people like that, not stuff, people like that, um, and not just, I guess not just that I know, but in general, if there's stories of people like that, it's very inspiring to me and like pushing through my own limits and going through my life in a way where I'm like, not down on myself and thinking like if this person, can do all this and like have a good attitude about it, then like I should be able to as well. And yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely like the actual meaning of being inspired is to continue going and give you that spark. So that's a good answer.
Yeah, great answer.
Eat Marco asks, every time I watch Andrew do stuff, I get more inspired. See? Any anti-Pharaoh ideas?
Anyways,
oh God. Um, I wish it would be so nice to be able to do anti-pharaoh.
yeah, I was just gonna say first, can you do anti-pharaoh, Andrew?
I cannot. I've tried. I don't know if it's like a matter of like the deck condition or if it's just solely pressure, but I can't. I've tried. And just like it feels kind of wrong.
That you can't, or in
I,
general,
I
the
I
move.
can't. I can't. But
Hmm.
when I tried it, it just feels kind of wrong.
Because,
I,
like, conceptually, you're springing doubles, is what it is. You're springing doubles,
yeah,
and they
and
offset each
I
time they hit.
I think because the pressure feels wrong, like it
Hmm.
feels like too much pressure. Because like in,
Totally.
in my in my head, I want like a nice like clean release, and I'm
Yeah.
like if they're like coming off in chunks.
I know what you mean. Yeah, because it's like
Ugh.
a chunky dribble or like a chunky riffle fan where it's like bunches of packets.
Yeah,
Oh, it sounds so bad.
yeah. I mean, like if you can do it, that's incredible. Like Zach makes it look effortless and incredible, and he's made a whole move around it essentially. I will I will stick with my regular pharaohs, unfortunately.
If you could do the anti-Pharaoh, do you have any like application ideas, or has it just never crossed your mind because you can't do it?
Well, I've got moves. I've got moves that use the regular pharaoh. I mean, like cubic space. I mean, you could get into that after an anti-pharaoh if you wanted. Like double flower fan. It's like maybe I'm just not creative enough to think in terms of something that is specific to an anti-pharaoh. I'm just like, well, if you can do a regular pharaoh, like, it's same to me.
I
Mm.
think the next step in that would be someone trying to figure out a one-handed anti-pharaoh. And recently, Ali has been posting some neat, like one-handed pharaoh stuff
Dude,
on his Instagram.
shouts out to Ali.
Yeah, Ali.
Word on the street, and I'm not going to name any names or expose anything or leak anything, but there might be a little one-hand anti-pharaoh thing floating around somewhere in the community.
Okay.
Hmm.
And it's crazier than you think. But
Okay,
I've already said too much.
my
It's
body
not
is
me. It's
ready.
not me. It's not me. It's definitely not me.
Okay, Brendan, looking forward to it. You gotta
Yeah.
deliver. Okay. That
So
sounds sick.
Miles Lansbury and OS Cardistry have similar questions, so I'll just bunch them together in one. The question is, how long did it take before you felt you'd found your style?
Hmm. Um, well, I guess a couple years in, I feel like WKC is like when my style kind of revealed itself. Um, Before that, when I was just starting out, I think I was more just trying to emulate the things that I saw.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if I was doing much creating at that time or if everything I created just really sucked. So I think once I started like making moves for WKC, like move creation, I think maybe brings about like what your style is.
Hmm.
But it wasn't necessarily a conscious thing. I wasn't thinking about like, oh, like what's what is my style going to be? It was just the moves that I was able to make and that I gravitated towards, and I was like, oh, well, that's that is my style because that is what I'm making.
Right. I think a lot of it has to do with taste too, because taste comes through in like the moves that you select to perform on camera. It
Yeah,
comes through in like how you edit something, the music that you choose
yeah,
to use, the
that's a good
clothes
point.
that you.
That's a good point.
Yeah, you had some pretty cool posters in the background, and that added to the vibe as well.
Yeah, yeah, those are all like prints that I had made in college. Um, yeah, that's a good point because I guess there are a lot of other moves that I can do that I don't put into video,
Hmm.
but part of that may be because I feel like they are incomplete, um, or or maybe it like feels generic in a way.
Hmm.
Um, so I guess part of having a style then is also having a standard of like
Ah,
what you think is
Hmm.
good, and whether or not you want to like primarily post original content or whether you feel open to performances of other moves. So yeah, that factors into it as well. And for me, I guess also during WKC, I felt like I did not want to repeat any moves. I wanted to have this aura of like always like showing new things in a video, which I had to do for the competition, and I think that carried over a bit afterwards, where I wanted
right.
every video to have new things in it that I hadn't done before.
Yeah, even Ghost Cut, which is Devo's, like
Yeah,
that's not something that a lot of people had seen in videos before. So even then, that felt kind of new.
yeah. Shouts out, Ghost Cut.
Yes. I have a question personally about the Paste for Animations logo that you have on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
Is that like a rock, paper, scissors? Like,
it is. Yeah,
yeah? Is that
yeah.
your
That's
design?
yeah. That's a print I made in high school.
Nice.
We were doing this project where we were doing uh, block printing.
Hmm.
Because in this like high school art class, it was like people who were doing lots of paintings and other kind of like very like traditional media, I guess. And then one of the assignments was to do a carving and printing, and that was something that I really latched onto. It was very process oriented. You had to come up with a design, transfer the design to this block, carve it out, do test prints. So very very process oriented, and yeah, that was something I did a lot more of in college as well. Yeah, so I had
Yeah.
this idea of doing like a rock paper scissors design.
Yeah, Andrew, it seems that a recurring aspect of your creative process is this idea of like percolation over a longer period of time. Because I think a lot of people are used to a kind of instant gratification of like
Yeah,
thinking of the move, coming up with the move, and doing the move within a week. But as you said before in this podcast, you've had moves that have taken you like maybe up to like a decade to realize.
yeah, yeah. The three moves in particular, I've mentioned them multiple times by now, but like double flower fan, hexagon, and then the flip back Byrek, flip back square. Those
Mm,
were all ideas that took several years. Um, yeah, because they're very like kind of like impossible ideas at first thought, and then you go through periods of like working on them for a bit, like it's hopeless, not gonna work. But the idea is still there, and maybe you decide to revisit it a few months later, a few years later, and you're like, okay, like I've got this technique that may work. I want to try it out. And the thing is, even if it doesn't work out, it can lead to other ideas. And so I think
Totally.
it's good to maybe have these lofty, impossible ideas because they can lead to other things along the way. Yeah,
right.
in the case of those, I was eventually able to figure them out. And yeah,
There's a couple moves in cardistry. So I always compare this to industrial design. So in industrial design, inventing like a revolutionary chair or something that's kind of like a standard chair is this like impossible lofty goal because so many chairs have been invented. And
hmm
I think in cardistry, inventing like a truly unique like fan move or riffle shuffle move or spring move or maybe a Sybil move that doesn't deviate too far from the Sybilness of it all is like those are like up here for me. And you've done it a couple times. So yeah, the double fan I think was truly a moment. You do the spring triangle that Kevin teaches.
yep, yep.
Um,
Shots out,
Thank
Kev.
you. Thank
you
you
have a
guys.
couple. You have a couple, but I like yeah, do you ever like kind of seek that style of creation too, being like, I'm gonna invent like a fan, just a fan, and like that's the idea. Because that seems like such an impossible task in my brain. I tried for such a long time to invent a unique riffle shuffle move, which is insane. Um,
Yeah, I think you can go into a creative session with that thought in mind, and I don't know if you'll
come
really,
out and succeed.
I don't know if you'll really accomplish what you set out to do, but like maybe that's not the point. Again, like if there's this really lofty thing that you're trying to do,
Yeah,
that whole thing, if you aim for the you'll land on the moon, it's close or whatever. If you've got these high goals, even if you don't reach them, there's other ideas that might come up. So, maybe you're trying to invent this riff move that doesn't work, but there's like some cut along the way that you wouldn't have discovered otherwise.
definitely. Yeah, I consider it very like pure creation and cardistry. Being like, I am inventing a spread move that's new, but it's harder than you think.
Yeah,
Yeah. Brendan, you actually did come up with a cool riffle shuffle move.
That you also
I,
teach in the page.
yeah, I also teach. Yeah, it's a propeller head. This thing.
Yeah, but that's just a rip off of one of your things.
It's a move based on Dan's move, Swirly, from Cardman.
Yes, just offset swirly,
This
but
thing.
also based from this of you.
Oh, really? Yeah, yeah. This was the one I did in the Adam and Fiddling Steve video.
Yeah, when you did this, it changed my brain chemistry for sure.
Back in the day on Handl Lords, there were like some crazy conceptual ideas for like challenges. Um, One of them was to make like a deck ball, like to produce like a sphere out of cards. Um,
Crazy.
yeah, and even Devo was like, okay, I got nothing for this, but guys, try your hand at it, you know. And the point of that was like maybe not to replicate it, but to do something close or something else. Um,
Gotcha. Deck ball.
yeah, yeah. Think about it. Play around with it. It's kind of a weird weird idea.
That is sick.
So Andrew, Naman Lucifer 666, great name, asks, does Andrew find making two-handed cuts difficult?
Yes. Um, yeah, and it's probably like fairly obvious because I haven't like posted myself doing any of them, and it might just stem from like my start in cards where I didn't really like learn from the system or any of those resources. I just was mostly self-taught. And then later got the encyclopedia of playing card flourishes. Yeah, really mostly self-taught. Like so many of my moves are like my own. Um, yeah, not many two-hand cuts. There is like one kind of in expansion that's more of like a shape-shifting kind of
Hmm.
sequence. And that one was very inspired by Tobias and Oliver. Um, yeah, I mean, generally speaking, though, I don't have many because it's not really in my skill set, or maybe I'm just like too scared to branch out into that because there's so many other amazing people doing packet cuts, and I'm like, ugh. Anything I do is gonna look not so great in comparison.
Will say as a packet cutter, smooth brained packet cutter, um, I get quite jealous of artists who create like the kind of shapes and things that you do because I just feel like the sit down creation process is just completely different and like you can maybe be a bit more focused as well. I find I just like I'm mindlessly moving two hand packets around all day and accomplish nothing, but I never really have a goal in mind.
Yeah,
Um, it would be nice to be goal oriented with creation for the first time in my life.
yeah, and I think again that goes back to like the different ways of creating, like hand creating versus like head creating, and having an idea. Yeah, I have been working on my squeeze for like many years, and having to rework on that once I learned that like Darren changed it. he, Darren like patched one of the parts of it, and so
He nerfed it.
yeah, so I messaged him and got a video response. He's like, "Yeah, I used to do it that way, but then I improved it and do it this way." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I've spent like how many years working on it and got to like work on this new like packet position now." And so,
Wait, what did he change?
so, so it used to be like this, and then I think it changed to where this front one goes underneath that.
Oh,
Yes.
This part used to say on top, but then
Yeah.
I was trying to pick up tips from watching the videos, like liquid paper, and then I saw
Yeah.
on slow mo it like goes underneath, and I'm like, that wasn't
No!
I was like, that
Oh.
wasn't in the original teaching.
Oh,
Really?
that feels so wrong. It's like when Dan and Dave changed Crab Shack for no reason.
What did they do?
Crab Shack used to be um, this, and then this packet went on top, and then the trilogy dropped, and they put it on the bottom.
Oh,
So like the old Jordan lapping and Darren videos you see of it, it goes on top, and then they changed it to the bottom, and it was a big deal for me.
that's like taking the revolution out of Pandora.
I also pressed Dan on this in London. I was like, dude, why? Why'd you put it on the bottom? It's like, again, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Speaking
Yeah.
of, Harley Calero 93 asks, "What is your biggest pet peeve with cardistry?"
Uh, Fans that are not like at least 180 degrees. Like it.
Oh, like
Um,
some of this.
You mean thumb fans?
yeah, or just if there's a fan that's even like this, I'm like, there's all this extra space to make the fan bigger. Like,
Yeah, that's the Assy Wind double exposure style fan. And then when you get the photo and they're holding the cards and the fan looks like this, the cardist inside you hurts a little bit.
Yeah,
Yes, spans are getting smaller as cardistry progresses.
it's our version of global warming.
Exactly.
Last question, Andrew. George Grayson says, "What types of moves would you like to see more people doing?"
uh, again, like fan or spread type things. I mean, like even more shapes would be cool. The packet cutting feels like very. It's felt very saturated for a while. I think this is also just kind of like my old like Handl Lords mentality coming into play and be like, oh, there's like so many cuts, there's like so much else to explore. Um, so yeah, just non cut kind of things would be cool.
Right.
Oh, XCM is what you're saying. All right.
Axiom, all caps.
I want to end on this note, which is that you and I were having a conversation on Facebook. Might have been like at the end of last year, Andrew,
Yeah.
and we were talking about people's sense that cardistry was reaching an extinction point, that it was like dying or whatever. And
Mm.
you said, you know, sometimes cardistry isn't the community; it's also you alone in your room working on something that you enjoy. And that meant a lot to me because as social as we can be, sometimes you just gotta like what you're doing alone.
Absolutely. Yeah. Um, when I started, I was just doing it for my own enjoyment. I wasn't even like, when I very first started, I wasn't even on any forums. I just thought there's this really cool thing that I find enjoyment in, and I want to do it for myself, like to have fun, to challenge myself, to have a creative outlet. Um, I wasn't thinking I want to do this to connect with people. Like as good as it is, I mean that's like having you guys as friends. That's amazing. Um, but in some ways, I feel like that's maybe separate from cardistry in a way. I mean, like even if we aren't doing cards, like we're still going to be friends.
Yeah, totally.
Um, but just in terms of like your motivation for doing cards, I feel like it should be maybe more like self-motivated. Um, yeah, it might just be two different motivations.
Totally. It's a good way of looking at it.
But
Cards can just be to make you feel happy. It doesn't need to be that deep, you know?
yeah,
Hmm?
yeah, and there's some other great comments on this subject in some of the past podcasts that kind of like made me think about it a bit differently, and the community aspect, which is like it's amazing. It's so special. Especially when you're at a convention, it's one of the greatest feelings.
Totally.
Um,
I,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, too, because I think we do a lot of convention talk, but going to conventions is very much like a privilege.
Yeah,
Um, and not a lot of people have access to that. But when you think about what makes you happy with cards, me personally, I love like sitting down to watch a movie and shuffling cards, or like going to bed, get in bed, and I'm gonna do a little cardistry in bed before I go to bed.
dude,
And I've been
absolutely.
doing that for like 20 years, and it still
Yeah,
makes me really happy. And I think like you can get as simple as that with it. Like
yeah.
just just do it for yourself. Do it for the homies too. But we're friends regardless.
I mean,
Um,
so much of your cardistry journey is just going to be you by yourself. You know,
Definitely.
just working on a move. Um, yeah, the community is great, but I don't think that should be the only motivation for doing cards. You gotta be in it for yourself.
Totally. Totally. Which
Yeah.
contradicts so much of what we said in the past too, but you do it's all holistic. It all works together.
Going back to when you said like we had that conversation, was there anything else I had to say about that, or was there a reason why it made you feel like good in that moment?
I think that there was this whole doom and gloom aspect that people were throwing around that cardistry was fading, cardistry was dying. I think it might have actually been this year, not the end of last year.
Hmm.
And I was ruminating a lot on the subject myself. And, sometimes when you don't see as much inspiration online coming from different sources, you feel kind of that, where did this all go? But, what you said about just enjoying it for the sake of itself by yourself reminded me of Dan and Dave just standing on their beds in Sonora, practicing all this before it was even a thing,
Yeah,
and that being enough for it to sustain itself. And I miss that. I even before I met other people in Singapore who were doing the same thing I did, I remember staying up to like 4 in the morning practicing Bad Habit, not getting it, and then keep going the next night until I finally nailed it. And people got to remember that that's also part of the pursuit, I feel.
yeah, yeah. I love that. And
All
I think people also need to maybe be more comfortable with the idea of taking breaks from cardistry and like not like upfront just like quitting, but if you're not feeling it, you shouldn't feel like pressured, like you need to be in it. You can step back a bit.
Yeah,
The
all
cards,
three of us have notably like been absent for periods of time and then have come back into the fray.
yeah, the cards are always going to be there. You know.
and they will find you even if you are trying to stay away from them. They will pop up somewhere and you will shuffle
That's
to
right,
get your will.
Dimitri.
Yes.
That's right, Dimitri. We're talking about you.
I also think a lot of these questions that we've been getting from some of the listeners over the past few episodes too about like style or like how do you figure this and that out. I don't think either or any of us three ever intentionally like figured those out. It just kind of happens. You just figure it. It just happens. Just keep shuffling cards, and all those questions will eventually be answered in yourself. You'll find your own style, whatever that might be. You'll figure out what type of cardistry you like. It's just you just got to stick with it and keep
Yeah.
shuffling and take breaks, but come back.
Yeah. We're glad you're back, Brendan.
Thank you.
Oh,
I'm
for
very
sure.
glad to be back. I'm glad we're all still here talking to each other, and we're still very good friends.
Yes. I think it's a very nice note to leave on. Andrew, are there any final words or thoughts that you have that you want to share with our listeners?
Uh, well, don't be too self-critical of your cardistry. I know that's something that I need to tell myself continuously, and like I tell that to some of my card friends continuously. I'm like, this is good. Like, leave the video
Mhm.
up, you know. Um, so yeah, just have confidence in your cardistry, confidence in yourself, and yeah, don't pressure yourself too much. Have fun with it.
Yeah, I vibe with that. Um,
Amazing.
so how can people find you, Andrew? What are your socials?
On Instagram at andrew.j.avila, I think, and on YouTube as Pasteboard Animation.
Perfect. Okay,
Boom.
so thank you everyone for watching. We'll catch you next time on Cardistry, lore, and more.
Thank you for having me, guys. I love you so much.
Love you,
Love you too,
Drew.
Andrew.